And now everyone knows about hurricane. I don't know how you got me talking about that. Creative, right? Oh, really creative. Really wonderful.
Well, because otherwise it'd be boring.
Yeah, because the guy who had a job.
It is cool. It is cool.
Hello! Welcome to the Comic Sports Stand-Up Student Showcase! A small but mighty crowd. Thank you very much. And thank you, brave people, for sitting in the very front row, where the comedy is freshest. All right, my name is Jay. I use she, they pronouns. I'm here with Johanna to provide you with concessions items throughout the evening. We have alcohol available up until the fourth comic of the night. If you can't count to 4, we're cutting you off already. A few things about the arena. We have restrooms down the hall, or right there. We have trash and recycling right over there for whatever concession items you brought in or bought from us. And emergency exits in case of a water landing right there and there. Your seats are not flotation devices. Please do not attempt that. We have to repair them ourselves, and I don't want to do that. I just got my nails done. All right. This is a student stand-up showcase, which means they're students, which means we would like you to be supportive.
Yay!
This means, please do not heckle, unless your name is Statler and/or Waldorf, and I will be checking IDs. No heckling. Also, we only have 6 comics tonight, so we would appreciate it if you could stay for all of them. Obviously, life happens if need be. Again, the exit's there. This one is only emergency, but anyway. Please stick around and support all the comics. Now, your host tonight, the teacher of this class, has been doing stand-up comedy for over 40 years. He's worked on it his tight 5 decades. And he's been teaching stand-up here about 3 years.
Starting my 3rd year.
Starting his 3rd year.
I can really bring in a crowd.
But it's been turning out fantastic student after fantastic student after fantastic student. And, you know, let's give a hand for Carl.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jay.
Carl, doing product placement tonight.
Thank you. How about Jay? Give Jay a round of applause. This is exciting for me. This is like the last J.D. Vance rally. Precise amount of people. No, we really appreciate you coming out. We've had this is our 3rd and final showcase for the quarter, and a lot of people have already seen the comics, and I especially thank you for coming out on a Thursday night. It's an odd weather night, isn't it? Kind of humid, rainy. How many people from Portland here? Everyone? Yeah.
I mean,
You're not quite sure where you're
well,
from.
define what you mean from
Define what I mean in Portland.
From Portland.
From Portland. Well, we got time, so tell us your life story, please. There's only 6 comics on tonight. This might be interesting. I don't know.
I'm in New Jersey. I'm in Jersey.
Oh, I'm from New Jersey. Yeah,
What
exit? Yeah, that's the one. She beat me to it by that much. What exit? Did you hear that? It's like Jersey, we know this shit. I'm exit 3. How about you?
Oh, exit 11.
11. You're way up.
Yeah.
On the Jersey Turnpike.
Right.
Yeah. What would that be? What town was that?
Bridge.
That was the Tappan Zee Bridge?
No.
Wow. If you can spell Tappan Zee correctly, can you?
T-A-P-A-N-Z-E.
Incorrect. Capital T. But thanks for and we thought it would be a horrid night. And look, we're all laughing, having a good time. Let's play Clue, shall we? What city?
Cranford.
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 I don't know Cranford, New Jersey. Is that known for something?
Rahway.
It's, near Rahway. I know where Rahway, which would be capital R-A-H-W-A-Y. Yeah, and how long have you been out here in Portland?
About 25 years.
25, well, okay, so you're not a newbie here. How does this compare to Cranford?
It's bigger.
I should hope. I read that they were sister cities. Yeah, okay, what do you do out here? I'm just filling the time because, what do you do out here?
I'm retired.
Retired? Oh, good. Me too, after tonight.
Of your own free
This is the
will.
end of it. No, not of my own free will. It was something about the gate. I don't know, it didn't quite measure up. No, well, welcome. It's good to have you here. Do you like being in Portland, or is
I mean, I've been here for 25 years.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if you're beating a felony rap or whatever. You're free to leave, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but stay, we need you here. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll stay for
We
tonight.
do need you here. Yeah. I am the oldest comic you're gonna see tonight, so, are you friends with Andrea and Mark? Oh, good. We say I have so few friends here, I don't wanna chase anyone away. They're both hysterical. Now, have you seen Andrea perform?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so you were here one of the other nights.
Yes,
Okay, and you're gonna see Mark perform tonight.
correct.
Yeah. Andrea got 100 people. Mark has
14.
12 angry men, basically. Mark's very funny. So
I'll be the judge.
whatever he does, you'll be the judge. I love you. You know, the sign up for my class is portlandcomedy.com. So is she pretty funny, Andrea? Yeah, okay. You look, well, you're from New Jersey, so you got an attitude, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good for you.
Sign up.
Okay, yeah, yeah, take the class, it's good. Yeah.
It is good. It is. No pressure.
No pressure. I am from New Jersey, and I tell people I'm from Philadelphia because
Oh, yeah.
it's a bigger area. Anyone been to Philly? It's a great town.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
Yes,
Yeah?
yes.
yeah. Lousy sports teams.
Not this year.
No, it's-
the Phillies are.
Well, when I grew up, I'm talking about way back.
Oh, when it was the Philadelphia A's, is that?
Fuck no, it wasn't the Athletics. Yeah, Connie Mack and Jimmy Fox, yeah, that was hilarious. You got it, you've got the best laughs of the night. I want you to know, you're not even in the class.
Forming it.
But back with the Athletics, they left in '54. That was really funny. No, the Phillies were really shitty. They lost, in fact, who was it? The White Sox could have broken the record this year.
Yeah.
They lost 21 in a row. The Phillies lost, the Phillies lost 23 in a row. Still in Major League record. We'd be there opening day with signs, wait till next year. This was the size of the crowd that came to the Phillies games back in 1961. So, anybody been to Philly recently? Because they have great tours of Philadelphia. It's a wonderful place for history, for culture, for music, for a lot of stuff. And here's a little advice: if you take those walking tours, you know, in the cities, you take the walking tours, right? The walking tour in Philly is great. You get to see Independence Hall, Liberty Bell, and all that stuff. But they finish the tour right at the waterfront, which is nice. They've really improved the waterfront. And they'll tell you, the guide will say, there's the Ben Franklin Bridge. It was opened in 1926, America's sesquicentennial. And at that time, it was an engineering marvel, the longest suspension bridge in the world. They go through facts and figures. And then they will say to you, but can you observe or tell me what the one design flaw is in the Ben Franklin Bridge? Nobody gets it, and then they say the design flaw is the bridge goes to New Jersey.
Aw.
That's just for you and me.
To Camden, right?
To Camden.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say Camden, because that's Port Camden. Port Camden. So are you guys ready for, I was gonna say I'm the oldest person on the show tonight, and so you're gonna see a lot more lively people than me. I'm so old, my husband wants to replace me with Kamala Harris. In fact, I think she's sleeping with him now. It's were you laughing at the bridge joke? Which one did you just get? I don't know.
It's catching up.
We really have 6 tremendous students who have worked very hard this quarter, and I'm really proud to present them. And I always say the crowd size really doesn't matter. It's the chemistry of the crowd, how engaged they are in the show. So you're small, but you're mighty, and I know you're going to love the show. Please welcome Sarah Spoon. She's great. Sarah Spoon.
Hello. Hello. So good to see you all here. Are you happy to be here?
Oh, yeah!
Yes. Yes. Are you having a good time?
Yeah!
Are you having a great time?
Absolutely.
Good. Well, I have some exciting news. I have some very exciting news. I'm having a nervous breakdown. And thank you. Thank you. It is great news. It's good news. I'm okay with it. I'm happy about it. It means I'm taking inventory of my life. But I'm doing it in a way where I'm also drinking well vodka. And I'm eating Uncrustables. Still frozen. And I'm seriously considering picking up the finished sport of hobby horsing. So, really come a long way. It could be a midlife crisis. It could be. But I've already used that card twice, and I don't think you get to do it too many times. So, I think the midlife crisis gets a bad rap. Anyone else? Yeah. Okay. DP shake does. I think the midlife crisis gets a bad rap because it's something we should be celebrating. People are freeing themselves from the prison of societal expectations, right? We should be celebrating it.
Take pictures.
Yes, yes. I propose that we repackage it as the midlife jubilee. Yeah. I mean, really, the only difference between a midlife crisis and a nervous breakdown is that a midlife crisis is more fun. So I say we just move forward with it. We call it a jubilee. Everyone gets one every 7 years. I'm taking one this year. So after this show, I'm planning on quitting my job, jumping out of a plane, buying a Porsche, and running off with a younger woman. I'm in therapy for my midlife jubilee. I am. But I'm having a difficult time with the general state of the world. Anyone else struggling with that a little bit? Yeah. I'm kind of freaking out. And I don't think adults do a good job of communicating how they're feeling when they're freaking out. Ask anyone in this room, any 12 of you, ask any 12 of you in this room how you're doing. And the worst you'll get is, I'm fine. I'm fine. It's okay to not be fine. When are we going to be honest about how we're feeling? Look, fascism is on the rise across the United States and Europe. Old Small Hands Donnie is somehow within reach of the presidency again. Our Flag Means Death and the revival of Quantum Leap are both being canceled after 2 brilliant seasons. And I just found out the banana's on the brink of extinction. Like, what the fuck is going on? Right? It's okay to freak out. Yeah, it is. That's true. Look it up. It's the Cavendish banana. There's like a parasite or something. I don't know. I'm concerned. So yeah. So we're not great at talking about how we're doing when we're freaking out. Ask a kid how they're feeling. They'll tell you the truth. I was out with some friends not that long ago, and my teenage kids were at home, and I received a text message. No punctuation. No capitalization. It just said, "Mom, please, we are screaming, we are scared." Now, this could be a text message that incites some concern from a parent. Is someone breaking in the house? Are one or both of them gravely injured? we had run out of chicken strips. But you know, I applaud them for their willingness and ability to communicate their abject horror. I mean, is there really a better way to encapsulate that invigorating feeling you get from waking up day after day to whatever this is? Here I am telling people I'm fine like a sucker, when I should be ending every conversation and email with, God please, I am scared, I am screaming. Yeah, it's weird out there. Lots of weird things are happening. I have a weird obsession right now. I'm obsessed with wealthy men that are out there repping for the trad wife movement, also the traditional wife movement. You have people like Harrison Butker, who is the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, telling women at their college graduation that they should stay home and squeeze out babies while simultaneously whipping up a chicken casserole. Yeah. And look, I'm a feminist. I have a full-time job that's meaningful and that I love to do. But trust me, I would quit my job in a hot second if I could. Harrison Butker just signed a 4-year contract extension for $25.6 million. He kicks a ball 4 times a day, 1 day a week for less than half a year. You think if I pulled that kind of money, if my family pulled that kind of money, I'd be on the 9 to 5 grind? No. And this is what really grabs me by the pussy. The same men that are advancing policies that make corporations people, widen the wealth gap, privatize human rights like healthcare and housing so that they're profitable, are now telling me that the superior moral position is a single income family? You can't have it both ways, fellas. You want me to get excited about the trad wife movement? I'll jump in vagina first. I just need you to stop humping the defense budget like a horny schnauzer and give me universal health care and universal wages. I'll do it. Look, I'll do it, Rose. I'll do it. Any one of you looking for a traditional wife. Part of the problem is, I have Gloria Steinem rage, but June Cleaver ambitions. I don't know. It's like, I want to do it. But Harrison Butker this year is going to make $486,000 for every football game he plays. That's $92,000 every time he kicks a ball. I don't need his hot takes on being an average American. Because my entire retirement savings plan hinges on me banking on complete societal collapse. So many things to be scared of. Retirement, trying to pretend to kick a ball on stage. But the scariest thing I've ever done is I ran for public office and was twice elected as a progressive and the first openly queer elected official in small town rural Oregon. That is scary. Do you guys know where Canby is?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. One of the weird things about it is that you would walk into council chambers, and most of the time no one would be there. The majority of what you do is just boring. Yeah, I'm renewing a janitorial contract, I'm deciding what to do with the sludge from the wastewater treatment plant. But every now and again, the agenda would just be figuring out if we're going to renew our IT contract, and the room would be packed full of people that have been talking shit about you on the internet. And you don't know why they're there. But there's something we call public comment. Public comment is when anyone from anywhere can say anything for 3 uninterrupted minutes. 3 uninterrupted minutes. So, you'd go into city council, and you knew something was about to happen, right? You don't know why they're there. Are they there to yell about Pride Month or potholes? You don't know. You just know they're angry. And in early COVID days, I had logged on to a meeting because we were doing Zoom meetings. And there were about 20 people logged into the meeting. Now, no one logs into a Zoom meeting they don't have to be at. That is psychopath behavior. So I knew it was about to get unhinged. And they were there this time to tell us how much they hated a book. That book was called Lick Like a Lesbian. A fun but informative guide to perfecting oral sex. Public comment started with a woman from our school board. She was so deeply offended by the book. And in order to express it, she decided she would recite excerpts from the book out loud at a city council meeting. The founder and executive director of the Oregon Firearms Federation, a no compromise gun rights lobby here in Oregon, he had something to say. And he loved saying the title of the book. He said, "Look like a lesbian," with such gusto that you could hear the twinkle in his eye. He had such unfettered enthusiasm, it suggested he might not be wearing pants. The camera was off, so we couldn't see his hands. We'll never know. Well, I'm just saying. And then, in solidarity with supporters, one of our city councilors decided he would chime in as well. And he said, "I don't care if it's licking or whatever, that's not okay. I could go all night on that." But could he? Could he go all night on that? And look, you might be wondering why this happened at a city council. I can tell you not every question has a good answer. I'll tell you that. But in this case, prior to the meeting, our mayor had demanded that the city administrator remove every reference of this book from our public library. It wasn't even in our public library. They just really wanted the whole world to know how much they hate mouth stuff. And I think we all learned something that day. It's always a group of sexually unsatisfied white women and men who can't get their wives off that ruin it for everyone. When it comes to oral sex, they are scared, they are screaming. I'm CSz Portland.
Sarah Finn, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it going, Sarah, that's really good. I mentioned that book to my husband, didn't do anything for him.
I'm bringing a copy over Saturday night.
Okay, thank you. We have a little dog.
I bet Roxy can look like a lesbian.
She's kind of a dom lesbian. She has a play date with another little female dog, and she's always humping. I don't know anything about it. I really don't. My husband's from South Dakota, and he was back in New Jersey. We had breakfast with a lot of my high school friends, and we were all talking mafia stories from the 70s, and he just couldn't relate because his mascot in high school was the Irrigators. True. Their cheer was My husband is 27 years together, and he's pretty funny, and he occasionally get off a good joke, and I say, "Oh, you should take my class." He goes, "Oh, I've taken that class." I've taken that class. So one more time for Sarah, great stuff, and I'm sure Camden misses you. Oh, I think they're down there telling stories right now about, They got a lot of stories, you know. I think that's a way to get a bigger crowd here. Put the "Lick Like a Lesbian" sign out there. Show class, you know, demonstration. It'll be good. Right. Joining us now, and you know Mark, and Mark is from a different part of the country. Mark's from up in Massachusetts, where the use of the letter "ah" is prohibited by law. They do not need that letter! Especially when they're driving around in there. I actually figured out, and this is my own little theory, what happens to letter "ah" that they don't use in Massachusetts. Letter "ah" goes up in the atmosphere, goes all across the country till it sees the state of Texas, then it falls down into the word "wash." That's what happens. You're going to love him. Please welcome Mark Gurman, ladies and gentlemen. Mark! Yeah! Mr. Hockey!
Thank you, Mark. Great. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah, that's terrific. Look at awesome.
7, I didn't see that.
Look at awesome.
7.
Huh? Yeah, you like that? You want a copy?
No,
No, all right. Oh, wow, it's so crowded
I
in
just
here.
want to look at your list.
That's great. Yeah, I'm from Massachusetts. I like the cold. I like snow. It's really hot here, and a little too hot for me. And I really got to cool off in the summertime. I love going to Soviet Island. Anyone go to Soviet Island?
Yeah.
Great place. I like going to Collins Beach. It's nude optional, and I go there. I go there to swim and get the sun a little bit, and I usually bring a machete with me and wear it when I'm in my buff. And people give me space. It's nice and quiet there. Very quiet. And I even go swimming with my machete. I'm just a little scared of stuff in there, and just in case a shark or a sea lion or a swordfish or a consortium of Dungeness crab or a school of piranha takes a wrong turn to Astoria and swims up the Columbia. Take care of those things. Yeah, I love sharks though. I love predators, sea predators, as long as they leave me alone. And I love sharks. I love the big white teeth, shark teeth sharks. And I love going to see the movie Jaws, the movie theater, and I really get excited when Chief Brody yells out, "You got to get a bigger boat!" And all I can see is a big white teeth of the shark. It's just like, it just kind of surrounds me. And I usually, at that point, I have to pull out my floss. I start flossing in the middle of the movie theater. And I usually buy a large bag of popcorn to get me through the movies. You know, love those sharp teeth. I love sharp things. I like to have sharp tools, maintenance guy. And I like a sharp pencil. Really like a sharp pencil. And I sharpen my pencil with a pocket knife, and I'll sharpen it just about anywhere. And you know, when I'm Saturday market walking around, or sometimes the Moda Center. I like going to the Moda Center, going to watch hockey at the Moda Center, and sometimes I write little notes and stuff, and I like to walk around the inside, on the outside of the inside area. I consider it the fast track for pencil sharpening out there. But, I don't know. I think probably my favorite place to sharpen a pencil is, unlike a lot of people that bring their phone into the toilet. You know, I don't. I love to sharpen my pencil while on the toilet. I like to whittle it down a little bit, whittle it down, and it falls like in between the bowl and into the water below, like getting rid of the evidence. I know, I'm really annoying, and but I wasn't always annoying. I grew up in Massachusetts. I was the youngest of 5. My parents. My dad, Joseph, is German, my mother, Marie, was Italian, and it was an Axis alliance, youngest child. And a pretty normal childhood, but I was always picked, my last name's German. It's like German, but with an extra N, so it's pronounced German. Hard G, that has to be explained every time I tell someone my name. So I was always picked as being the German, the crowd. My nickname was Clink, and we used to play war a lot. It was 1964. I was like 6 years old. It was still the shadow of World War II, and so we played war, and I was always picked as being the bad guy. And one time the local neighborhood kids, the Lazinskis and the Petrovs, captured me, and they tied me to a big birch tree out front, and I was tied tight to the tree, couldn't move, couldn't go anywhere, and I was looking out the woods across the way, and I saw Klaus, and Klaus was the resident German Shepherd. He was an old German Shepherd. He was retired from the front, and was about 95 pounds. And I saw him coming, patrolling the neighborhood like he always did. He liked to patrol. It was in his genetic makeup. And was tied to the tree, and he patrolled his way on up to me and started humping my leg. And he was humping my leg with his gristly underside for about an hour. And finally, he couldn't come, and he got bored. And he got bored, and he just sauntered off into the woods. I felt rejected. And I went home that night, and we had a little wiener dog, a dachshund. Her name was Gretchen, and she sniffed me, and she refused to sit on my lap for a month. Terrible, yeah. But I love sports. I love playing hockey, and I love bicycling. And I remember my first time actually bicycling on my own. My parents took me out to the sidewalk, and they kind of pushed me off, and I was able to pedal, and I was pedaling really fast away from them. And I could hear my father in the background yelling out, "Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going." My mom had her hands full. And so, yeah, it was just, keep going, kids. And yeah, soon after that, my mom, was hard for her to raise 5 kids. She was getting tired. And she put me up for adoption, and forced my older brother Steve, who's 5 years older than me, to adopt me. And I became his tag-along. And his nickname at that time was Gurn, and I became Little Gurn. And we got into a lot of trouble as kids. It was Lowell, Massachusetts. It was a city, and there was a lot of things happening there. And one time, my mother yelled out to my older brothers, said, "You're going to hell in a handbasket. Take your little brother and that horny wiener dog with you." And all I could think of when I heard that saying is that the 3 of us were going to burn in hell in a basket, and that just so that she could have the afternoon off. Yeah, but I love playing hockey. We played on the ponds in Massachusetts. New Jersey didn't quite have that much. They were a lot warmer down there because all the people stacked up against each other. And I'm so glad that Connecticut and New York were in between us. In any case, we'd go out to the ponds and skate and play hockey with all the other kids. And one time I got into a fight with a kid. And there was this little tricky French-Canadian kid. His name was Patrice Lafleur. And we got into a fight on the ice, and we were rolling around in the ice, and we fell through into the icy water. And I was wearing skinny jeans, in the 60s, and I was able to make it home. My jeans froze into my legs, so I got home. My mother threw me down in the bed and started peeling my jeans off. And I looked up at her and I saw in her eyes a look of disappointment that I had survived. But my mom was great. My mom was great. She rewarded me, and she took me out to Lowell and Hartford, the local sporting goods store in Lowell, Massachusetts, and she bought me full hockey equipment. Like just full hockey equipment, everything. And she also got me the training weights, the little lead training weights above my skates. And on the ride home, we swung by Navnasset Lake, the local lake, big lake, a very windy lake, about a mile across. And dropped me off the car. I put my skates on. I was skating out towards the middle of the lake, and I could hear her in the car yelling out to me, "Keep going, keep going, keep going." Yeah, hockey was great. Yeah, I only fell through twice in my life in hockey, and it was pretty scary. But now I don't skate on ponds anymore because Portland doesn't have anything that freezes, except maybe a Jello shot. But I love playing hockey. I play men's hockey. It's called beer league hockey, and it's a great sport. It's a very manly sport. It's you're out there, you're cruising around, you're skating fast, you're bumping into people. It's really a great manly sport, and we get penalties if we do wrong things on the ice. We can get a penalty for slashing, and we get a penalty for tripping. You can get a penalty for roughing, and that leads to fighting. There's also butt ending with the knob of your stick. It's a very manly sport. But it's not all penalties out there, and it's not all hate in that. There's a lot of love that goes on in hockey among your teammates. And when we score a goal, it's everybody gets together in a little huddle, and you all hug each other and high five and a little slapping around. And it's very, there's a lot going on in hockey. You get very sweaty, skating really hard, very sweaty. You get back to the locker room and you're all so sweaty. First thing you do is just strip down and you sit your sweaty asses on a towel on the bench and chug a few beers while you're waiting for the shower, for the group shower, which is at Sherwood Ice Arena. It's a really interesting shower. It's got a pole that comes out of the floor, and there's 4 shower heads spaced about 3 inches apart. And we have to share shampoo sometimes and soap, but we help each other out. But we had a sad thing happen at hockey. Sometimes people die, but it's not really that. There's some older guys there. It's an over 35 league, but some guys, just never come back. But we had a mascot. I'm on the Lumberjacks team this season. We have a mascot. It's a little German Shepherd dog named Rudy, and Rudy is part of our team and is disciplined the same way penalty-wise. The Sherwood Ice Arena basically told us that he can't come back for a year, and he got too many game misconducts. All right, well, it was good break, guys. Thank you very much. I do want to shout out to my parents. So I know that I gave my mom a bad rap, but I had the best parents. They're both passed away now. My mom Marie Correa, and my father Joseph Gurman. Great parents, and raised 5 really great kids, and it was a great childhood. Thank you.
Mark! Good job, Mark. Wow. I don't know about you, but I'm headed to Sherwood to take up hockey. Keep it going for Mark. That's good stuff. Keep going. What's your name? Was your nickname really Clink?
Not mine?
Clink, right?
No, it was actually.
You lied? How many people remember Hogan's Heroes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
That was before Hogan's Heroes.
Wow. I would have got residuals from the network for that. I think my favorite character was General Burkhalter. Remember him? He had one line, shut up, Clink. You're right, General, shut up. He wanted, that's the fall line, shut up, Clink. Emmy Awards, okay. Keep it going for Mark, good stuff, Mark. Is that your first time on stage?
For that? For comedy?
I don't know, tell us more about the showers, I don't know.
I did before Judge. No.
Oh, jeez. How'd that work out?
Oh, I'm here.
Yeah, we're all here. I never got picked for jury duty at all, never done it. Anybody been on juries? Oh, you've been on a jury, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you convict or?
Yeah, it's a long story.
Okay. Maybe you two can talk after the show.
Person did get convicted.
Oh, you did get convicted, okay. I had a foolproof way of getting out of jury duty in Portland. I'd walk into the jury pool and go, Lars Larson is guilty! And they just dismissed me. Just like you did with that joke. So good job, Mark. Nice to have Massachusetts represented. It's a great state. Look at her going like this.
It's just full of massholes, right?
No, I like Massachusetts. Done a lot of great shows up there. I had my sister and brother-in-law live in Pittsfield for a while, in the Berkshire.
Way over there.
Yeah, it was all nice until my brother-in-law slept with the exchange student from Spain. All right. Yeah, not exactly comedy material, but you know, I don't think he understood the meaning of exchange student. Maybe that was the case you were on, actually. All right, coming to the stage now is a gentleman who's been in my class, 3 classes I think he's taken with me, and he comes all the way across from Vancouver, Washington. I know you were thinking he comes down from the Vancouver, but he comes across the river. Please welcome D.P. Shane, ladies and gentlemen. Carl Wilson.
Do it up again for Mark Sherman. Yeah, so I came to the Metro about 3 years ago. And I came here primarily because, people told me it was weird here. People have been calling me weird my whole life. So I thought, well, it might be a natural fit. But then I got here and, well, I'm still looking for the weird, to be honest with you. I mean, it's like everybody's kind of the same weird. And to me, to be weird, you have to be an individual. You have to stand out from the crowd. And what I'm finding is crowds of people who think they're weird. But when weird becomes normal, it's not weird anymore. I mean, now if I want to be weird, I got to be a Republican? That's weird. So, I'm a writer. I like to write. I actually started my writing career after my technical work got stolen. And my reputation was besmirched, and so I fought back by getting published in the trades. Writing my 4th tech article and realized I just absolutely hated it. So I started writing science fiction, and I have a novel up on Amazon now. My favorite thing about being an author is that you can break the rules. And that means you get to make up words. One of my favorite words is repiphany. And that's when you've had the same epiphany more than once. And my second word that I've invented, it actually matters tonight because this is my last scheduled night on this stage. And it kind of feels like familiar, but it's kind of not, you know, I'm kind of going through all these different emotions while I walk around and I look at everything, and when you have that feeling like you've been somewhere before, and you've actually been there before, I call that deja review. So, you know, I'm here and I'm, you know, trying to make a new life for myself, and I mean, like a lot of single guys, you know, I started out, you know, trying to date. And soon after the pandemic was over, I met this woman who was from Vancouver. She's a little bit older than I am. And you know, it's funny because it's well, I mean, I'm on this comedy stage, so it better be funny, right?
Right.
But, you know, I learned a new word after I came here. It's called Vantucky.
Yeah.
And I've experienced Vantucky, and I don't like it. The first woman I met here was from Vancouver. Sorry, almost tripped on that. And, you know, it was great. I mean, we liked some of the same foods. Not all of it. You know, we liked Vancouver for a lot of the same reasons, and then we got to music, and I told her about. She told me that, you know, she really likes AC/DC cover bands, and that, you know, there was one playing at the nightclub she likes to go to a lot. And I looked back at her and I said, you know, I really like. What really gets me going is avant-garde jazz. And I told her about going to this nightclub, an all-black nightclub back in Virginia when I served in the Coast Guard. And it was the most amazing sound. I was the only white guy in the club. And it was just, I mean, people treated me really nice. I mean, it was amazing. The sound was amazing. And if you weren't there on the night that the band was playing, I mean, it wasn't even a band, it was three guys who came together for that night. And if you weren't there on that night, that sound was gone forever. I mean, that's how unique it was. And I'm trying to explain to her just how, you know, it was just like something you don't get every day. And she looks at me with these glacier blue eyes and just says, well, I'm not a racist, but... And she kept talking. Meanwhile, I'm kind of stuck in that butt. And the more she talks about, the bigger the butt gets. And then finally I just had to tell her, you know, it's like there's just no future for us in that butt. So I you know, I didn't give up, you know. Went on the internet sites and somebody came to me and asked me, you know, would I like to meet? And I met her, and she had lied about her age. She said she was 52, but she was really only 42. And then she explained it to me that, see, I'm a boomer, and she's a millennial, and everything is my fault. The pollution of air and water is my fault. Problems between the Democrats and Republicans are my fault. John Cougar Mellencamp is my fault. I mean, and she just kept going on about it. So, you know, and you know, finally, I mean, she's going back through all this, you know, this is my fault, that's my fault. Then she gets down to it and she says, and even AC/DC is my fault. Which I had to think about. It's like, wait a minute, that was, never mind. So after that, you know, I kind of thought, well, you know, maybe I should back off a little bit. And I met someone else, and she was my friend without benefits. And it was really kind of nice. You know, I mean, I had this wonderful, emotional, intellectual exchange that just, it never got old, you know? It's like there was always a surprise, there was always something new, and it was all without the intoxication that comes with the sex. You know, it's like, I'm here, I'm in the moment, I'm not thinking about what happened last night, you know, it was just like being married. But I had to let her go, because, I mean, after a while, I mean, I realized it, but it was just one of those things that was hard to accept. But I finally came to the point where, you know, I understood and I accepted the fact that she was actually faking it. Which brings me to the other word that, the first word that I made up. You know, my epiphany was that I thought about the first woman that came on to me in Vancouver. And I'll never forget her. I mean, she was about 4'9". And her shoulders came out square and her arms went down straight. And she looked like this box with a football helmet on top. I mean, her hair was literally just a football helmet. Well, not literally a football helmet. I couldn't tell the difference. And she comes into this restaurant where I used to eat breakfast that had this counter that was just awesome. I mean, it was this U-shaped counter. And no matter where you sat at the counter, you were looking at somebody else. And you had no choice but to hear what everybody was saying, because they were just right there. And she comes in, she sits down next to a guy on the other side of the counter, and I'm talking to the guy that's sitting next to her, and she interrupts him and said to me, you know, what you need is a good woman. I was kind of like, you know, okay. And I'm trying to think of something graceful to say, and she's just, you need a good woman. And I'm trying not to go, but you know, a little bit of that's coming out. And then suddenly the guy next to her says, oh, by the way, I need to come by later on this afternoon. I left my cell phone on your night table. And I thought, you know, this is the wingman I've always wanted. And then she brushes him off and she says, no, you need a good woman. See, that's when I had the epiphany. You know, and I looked at her and I said, no, I think what I really need is just a dominatrix who makes me exercise and clean my condo. So yeah, that was a epiphany. It was just kind of, you know, I mean, after going through everything, it's like, oh yeah, you know, maybe that's all I really need at this point. So anyway, I'm going to give this mic back to Carl. Thank you very much. Coming out of a stormy summer night in Portland.
Thank you, DP Shane, I love when the segue is a dominatrix and then giving it back to me. That's one more time for DP Shane. What you need is a good woman. My mother said that to me 100 times. Oh my God. Thank you, DP. Good work. Yeah, I remember my mother, I think this is not, it's just something that happened to me. I'm not sure it's funny, but this is the night for that. No, I mean, I was in 10th grade, and I remember my mom sat me down on the steps in our split level house, and she says to me, you know, I read this story about a handsome man and a beautiful woman who got married, and they were so wonderful together and beautiful, and they went on their honeymoon, and the husband never touched his new bride, and it turned out he was a homosexual. And I'm thinking, do you have his number? I don't, what do you say at that point? I think there are a lot of people in history who were gay but will never know, right?
Yeah.
Anybody got suggestions? Come on.
Adlai Stevenson.
What the? Oh, great, now we have improv. Which I love. Yeah. That was really funny. Yeah, 1952. I'm thinking Marco Polo because this is the joke I wrote. You know, I'm way behind on my Adelaide material. I don't know. I'm thinking Marco Polo because, I mean, if you're gay in the mid, 13th century, I just can't get the image of Klaus humping your leg out of my head, and that's really stalled me tonight. No, I mean, mid 13th century, and what was happening then? I mean, Mongols had sacked Europe, Crusaders had sacked the Middle East. Marco Polo's off looking for silks and spices. I mean, really. If you are gay in the year 1276, you just want a comfy caftan and a little nutmeg, really. You need a good woman, is what you need. All right, our next performer, I love her. She's so funny, and she spent time in Tennessee, where I lived there for 10 years. And I never understood a lot about it. They have mountain oysters there, which I never ate, by the way. You know what mountain oysters are?
Yeah.
We all know.
Rocky Road apples.
Rocky Road apples, is that what they're called? Up in Massachusetts, bull balls, yeah. What confounded me is you go into any store and they're always in packages of 3. These are some really manly bowls. I figured dominatrix to me, I could do mountain oysters for you. Please welcome Rose Allison, ladies and gentlemen. Rose! Rose!
And here I was thinking he was going to start with speaking of a good woman.
Yeah.
He's like, Hey y'all, thank you all, literally all, for coming out tonight. I'm Rose. We're in an election year.
Ow!
I know, we're all so excited. And
Adlai Stevenson.
you know, if you had said that 4 weeks ago, I'd have been like, hell yeah, put him on the ticket.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned. Again, a little less concerned than others. We actually have a candidate who can walk up the stairs, here, not have to take Geritol every night. But what concerns me most is actually here in Portland that we're going to have an identity crisis with this election. We're having an identity crisis with this election. As DP said, keep Portland weird. Okay, so you've established maybe we're not that weird. I argue that if Trump is weird, then Portland can no longer be weird. Portland weird got canceled. We need a new motto, right? And there's so many creative people around. And we've been working with the same tired motto. I'm thinking, Portland, so white. Look around tonight. All 12 of you. That includes the comics. Actually, I'm not white. My dad's here tonight. And my dad will tell you that in 1954, the Supreme Court decided that my family is not actually white, that Sicilians are not white. This came from an old Jim Crow case, so you're welcome for the diversity. But for Portland, how about Portland? Come for the abortion, stay for the legal weed.
I realized that I was actually suffering from a lot of white privilege when I was standing in line at a weed shop behind a couple of tourists a couple of years ago, and I was like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck, I've got to wait for my marijuana. I'm from Tennessee, it's not normal there. Yeah, I'm a daddy's girl though, as you can see. Like I said, you know, Sicilian family, Cleveland Sicilians. So definitely mob, not cool mob, not like the mob that you see on TV, more like the mob that's a middle manager at your standard TV and appliance. But yeah, my dad, I'm totally a daddy's girl. If you talk to him afterward, Dad's from Cleveland, he was born in Cleveland, he's not lived in Cleveland for over 40 years. But he still talks like he came right off the boat from Lake Erie. And you know, my dad taught me so much. You taught me how to plant trees, you taught me how to fix cars. He taught me how to be a slut. Not like that. Like, we wouldn't be having this banter. But yeah, he, I overheard my parents arguing one time. I guess Dad had been sleeping around, and it's genetic. And he was like, Bonnie, I mean, it's not like you want it. It's not an asthma inhaler. You know, it's not like it's got a counted number of uses and you can't use it anymore. You're welcome to it too. And I thought, that's a really good life lesson for an 11-year-old. I've hung on to that. So it explains a lot. But yeah, I grew up in Memphis. My family were carpetbaggers. That's funny if you're from the South. There's a war, y'all. It's called the Civil War. Yeah, no, I'm from the South. I'm from Memphis, and when I moved to Portland, I had to wean myself off of black guys. But I'm not a cold turkey kind of girl, you know. Like you gotta work on this. So I started dating a Dominican priest. I'm joking. I'm way past puberty. So the guy I'm seeing right now is Manuel Acevedo. He's from the Dominican Republic, and he'll tell you he's a mulatto. He's mixed. He'll say, you know, most folks in the Dominican Republic are. He'll say, yeah, it's hard to find anybody without a little cafe and their con leche down there. So I'm using this as an opportunity to, you know, transition, and I don't know, maybe it'll be a full-blown Latino fetish. But yeah, speaking of big cocks, I know that. I'm guessing that all of you haven't had this experience, but have you ever been giving a blowjob? Or being given one, and like right before they're about to finish, they just like shove it real deep in your throat before they come, and then it shoots out your nose? I call it cock snot. Gentlemen and ladies, if this hasn't happened to you, I hear that it's not the size of the boat, but the motion in the ocean. If this is something that has happened to you, call me after. Yeah. Carl, I love that you didn't eat any balls in Tennessee.
I never ate them.
Did you lick them like a lesbian? Okay, sorry. Yeah, being a grown-up is bullshit. Sarah, I'm totally with you there. We need to teach our kids better. I was born in the 1000s. I knew by the 2000s I was going to have at least a flying car and a robot maid. I've got a Cybertruck with rust issues and a Roomba. It's just not, it's not as awesome. Tech has let us down. It's, you know, I don't get a lot out of tech. They watch us, it makes me feel paranoid, you know, they listen to your conversations. You have to explain to the kids these days that there's a voice app on their phones where you can actually talk to somebody, not get the carpal tunnel. You know, even like, right, like porn when we were younger, right? It was like checking out the Sears catalog lingerie section, which really was like the support bras. If you wanted something real nasty, you get the National Geographic, right? And those long boobs, right? We were not looking anything like lesbians. I mean, kids nowadays, right, they've got like 2 Girls, 1 Cup, they've got middle-aged comedians on OnlyFans. It's kind of a horror show for them. I mean, even like the disasters that I thought we were gonna have in the 2000s are way less exciting. You know, some of you may remember duck and cover drills, or you've heard of them, right? Like, oh, the atomic bomb is coming, quick, get under your desk. Say what you will about nuclear apocalypse, but at least it makes exciting movies. Mad Max, badass. The 2000s, Mel Gibson is now a prick spewing anti-Semitic shit on Twitter. This is not the future I signed up for. So yeah, I grew up really religious. I was in church 6 out of every 7 days. We had 2-a-days twice a week, which means that I could have been on varsity church. My mom's real religious. You'll notice she's not here tonight. Wonder why. Yeah, you've never seen anyone pray as hard as this woman does when she's like around Christmas and she's looking for a parking spot at the Walmart. But I started really questioning like the existence of God. And I've got to say, I'm an atheist now, and atheism's got a lot going for it. For me personally, I mean, I am saving so much time, like so much time out of my day. I've yet to hear about, you know, an atheist cult that makes the women wear those horrible like cotton knee to the ankle dresses. That, you know, the folks that think that a party is mass suicide. I don't have atheist evangelicals come into my house all the time when I talk about science. I don't open hotel room drawers and see the atheist who put a physics book in there for me. And, you know, there's not a lot of headlines about atheist Dominicans molesting a bunch of kids and then getting moved to a different diocese to molest kids they haven't met yet. There are some groups, you know, maybe like a Trump rally that like I would totally consider strapping on one of those bomb vests and walking in and saying, I'm gonna kill you in the name of logic and reason. But that's just me. I mean, the good news is though, is if you do believe in God, which is totally legit if you're into that kind of thing. I read a lot of science fiction and fantasy too. If like I get paranoid from tech, like, you know, it's just God watching you all the time. But, yeah, if someone had told me as a kid that I really need to temper my expectations. I mean, anybody here, are you actually doing what you thought you were going to be doing as a kid? You say, oh, little kid, what are you going to do when you grow up? Is anyone actually doing it other than retired? Which is so very white middle class of you. It's so nice to have Social Security while it lasts.
What? No, not Social Security.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad. But yeah, I mean, if you would somebody as a kid, if you would have asked me like, little Rose, where do you want to be when you grow up? I'll tell you what I wouldn't have said. When I'm 45, I'm gonna be a twice divorced single parent that's unemployed doing stand-up comedy. It'll be awesome. Just not gonna be the thing, right? I mean, somebody really should have told me, like, Rose, you should think about working for the Crime Stoppers hotline. Because I have taken so many anonymous tips in my day. I mean, not just the tip. But no, I would have given you like a Cinderella story, right? Like, I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna be a princess and I'm gonna live in a castle and I'm gonna be a trad wife and it'll be so great. In my defense though, I mean, my pussy's kind of like a glass slipper. Like, lots of people have tried that thing on. I just haven't found the perfect fit yet. Thanks so much, you guys. Have a great night.
Rose Allison, ladies and gentlemen. Very funny. Rose Allison. Rose's dad. Oh. I didn't know your dad was here.
I know, she's been picking on him the whole time.
I've been picking, he's a nice guy. How are you? Rose is very funny.
Thank you.
This is the comedy DNA. I love that you're out there taking credit for it. You should.
It's genetic.
It is genetic. PortlandComedy.com.
Did you know that insanity is hereditary?
Yeah, you get it from?
Your kids.
Get into class. I love it. And so you're Italian. Nice to have the Italians here.
Yes.
Yeah, Italy.
Half Italian, half white.
Again, the class is the place for you. Yeah. So far, he's funnier than you, Rose, and that's good. I love Italy. We went in 2013 to Florence, Pisa, Venice, and Rome. It's wonderful. And I heard Italy today, our great ally, offered help to Ukraine, which is really good. They offered the new Italian Navy that sails in glass-bottom boats, so I can see the old Italian Navy. And one of my earliest jokes. It's like Merv Griffin, 1981. Great joke. Yeah, very good. So, was Rose really religious for a while?
Yes.
Okay, up until tonight. And it's so easy. I mean, I started comedy in 1980. Of course, the 80s gave us Jim and Tammy Faye Baker, right? Absolutely fun. And Jim Baker and who else? Who was the other guy? Got caught with prostitutes.
Swagger.
Jimmy Swagger got caught with prostitutes. We found out how those Bibles got in all those hotel rooms. Another line from the 80s, just digging that old stuff up. One more time for Rose and her dad who are here tonight. On the stage now, we have two more performers, and they're wonderful, like everyone you've seen up to this point. And Mike, I think you've taken 2 classes or 3 with me.
Third.
Oh my God, you better be good. 3 classes. Mike, we do a thing called Second Sunday. It's comedy here, stand-up comedy, the second Sunday of every month. And Mike will be on the next show on September 8th. So get all the info at portlandcomedy.com. Please welcome Mike Schreiber, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Schreiber.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike. After you can all introduce yourselves to me as we go along. So I turned 65 not long ago, and well, thank you. It's not. It's yeah. I don't know. But that happened, and I saw an ad for an app on my phone, and the ad was solitaire for seniors. And I thought, well, they have all these targeted ads, but this is going a little far. They know that I'm 65, and they know that I'm single. So I started to wonder what kind of, ads for apps I might see next. Maybe Minecraft for the mature, or Candy Crush for codgers. Another thing that I did recently is I started trying to take some Social Security benefits, and I found out how completely awful it is to try to get any information out of them. I called up, I'm only going to take partial benefits because I'm still working a little, so I wanted to find out when they're going to start, and I called up and I talked to the lady. And, I explained all this. I said, I know I'm going to get partial benefits. Can you tell me when they're going to start? And she said, you're not getting any benefits because you're still working. And I laughed too when that and I said, well, yeah, I know I'm still working now. I know I'm not getting any benefits now. I just wondered if you could tell me when I will start getting them. She said, you're not getting any benefits because you're still working. And, so I said, okay, it sounds like you're telling me that I'm not going to receive any benefits this year at all. Is that what you're saying? You're going to get 3 checks. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Okay. Can you tell me when those checks are going to start coming? You're not getting any benefits because you're still working. And I just gave up at that point. I thought maybe I'd accidentally rebooted her. You know. Another thing you have to watch out for, I find as I get older, is you have to be careful asking an older person for directions. Because we will, a lot of the time, give you directions based on what used to be there. You know, it'd be like, you know, well, you keep going this way, and then you turn right where the old school used to be. And then you keep going a little ways, and then you turn left by that firehouse that burned down. Oh, okay. Get out your Google map, and when it asks you when you want to arrive, tell it 1982. Now look for the school and turn right. Somebody, last time I was up here, afterward, somebody told me that I was a laugh a minute. You know, and I was kind of flattered. And then I thought about how long a minute is. 4, 5, 6. So, you know, I sort of rethought maybe what they might have meant. My friend and I went to a baseball game in Hillsborough the other night. It was Star Wars night. And it was a big thing. And they were playing all the music. And, you know, they had people dressed up as the characters. And so I went to look for some characters. I thought, well, maybe I'll find a Jedi. I looked, and there's no Jedis. And so I didn't know, a Wookiee? And I looked, there was no Wookiees at all. And I realized every single person that they had in costume is dressed as the bad guys. And I'm trying to figure out what we're celebrating here. You know, it's like, so there's 12 guys dressed like Darth Vader. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so you want to dress up as Hitler, basically. So, or at least like Space Goebbels. And then one of them, I heard him say to somebody, live long and prosper. Now, okay, this guy is really confused, right? It's like, okay, for that Star Trek, if you don't know, and he's there on the wrong night. And then there were the people that were having their kids' pictures taken with the stormtroopers. 3 stormtroopers, a little kid posing. Okay, now smile for the stormtroopers. And this is what you want your kids to learn. Okay, this is what you want them to emulate. They're literally called stormtroopers. Speaking of stormtroopers, I saw an item about the Supreme Court in the news. And it seems that all the justices' old high school yearbooks got obtained by somebody. They leaked them to the press. And it was very embarrassing. It showed all the clubs and activities they were in. Amy Coney Barrett was in the book club, it said, and her favorite book was The Handmaid's Tale. She evidently thought it was an instruction manual. For Alito, it had that he was in the Future Fascists of America. And then for Clarence Thomas, it just had that he was voted the least likely to recuse. I moaned too when I saw it. I found it very disappointing. And another thing I did recently after I turned 65 was I went to Vegas. I took a trip to Vegas, saw how completely tacky it is. But it is not the tackiest place I've ever been to. Which, this being Tennessee night, it turns out that this was Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And my friend and I were going through there on a driving tour, and it's you may think that I'm about to make fun of the South, and you would be right about that. But I do have some standing. I was born in Jacksonville, Florida. I had the good sense to get out at 4 weeks old. But we were driving through Gatlinburg, it's a little tourist town, little shops and things, and we wanted to have breakfast, my friend and I, and we stopped. We found a diner that was sandwiched between two Elvis wax museums. And we ordered breakfast, and the waitress said, you know, well, how do you want your grits? And we were like, you know, well, we don't, you know, I don't want grits, so we don't want grits. And she said, you don't want grits? And every head in the place turned this way toward us. I'm pretty sure I heard the cock of a shotgun. And I thought better of it, and you know, I said, okay, yeah, I'll have grits. I'll have grits. Give me extra grits. And you know, we kind of, you know, started to recover things until my friend asked for avocado with his. So the shotguns came back out, and we had to get out of there. So I have cut back a little bit on the work that I was doing before, but I still want to get some kind of, you know, fairly easy part-time job. And I think I might go work for Social Security so I can tell people you're not getting any benefits. Thank you.
Mike Schreiber, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Schreiber. You might want to tip Mike on the way out because he's not getting any. Keep it going for Mike. Good stuff. So Adlai Stevenson goes into a bar, and you know, we may have our first woman president in a few months. That would be great, huh? I think it would. I actually did a list of countries that have had women presidents, chancellors, or prime ministers. 156 countries. 156 before us. That's unbelievable. Come on, Mark. Just hump my leg. Come on, get up here.
Sorry.
Introduce me to hockey. All right. Actually, there was, in the 1950s, there was a senator from Maine, Margaret Chase Smith, a wonderful senator, a moderate Republican, very well, from New England, Maine, and she was often mentioned as a possible first woman president. What I loved about her, other than the fact that she was smart and reached across the aisle and wanted to get things done, was she had an incredible sense of humor. A reporter asked her one day, said, Senator Smith, what would you do if you woke up and found yourself in the White House? She said, I would get dressed, run downstairs, apologize to Mrs. Eisenhower, and leave. So, you know, that's a great answer. Finishing our show tonight, he's just absolutely terrific. I think all of my students just have so much fun in the class, and give it up for the class, all right? It's just PortlandComedy.com. I'll plug it as many times as possible. We really do have a lot of fun. It's like they say in athletics, you perform Saturdays or Sundays as you practice and as a rehearse. And I know, like the Philadelphia Athletics, when they went out in 1933, when I was in the stands cheering them on. And he's just a lot of fun and so funny. Please welcome Chris Waffle, ladies and gentlemen. Please, Chris Waffle.
Thank you. Hey, give it up for Carl Wolfson, ladies and gentlemen. Come on now. He's a legend somewhere. It's a great, and also Jay and Johanna holding it down, the true heart of comedy sports. I am Chris Waffle, as Carl said, and people often ask me, Waffle, that's an interesting last name. That's kind of weird. Where does that come from? And it's Belgian in origin. So, anyone here tonight in a cult? Yeah, I'm fascinated by cults. I really have gone down a big rabbit hole with all the cult docuseries that they have. There's a ton of them. I'm sure you've seen some. They got a bunch of them. Wild Wild Country, Heaven's Gate, The Cult of Cults. There's a ton of them. The Bachelorette. I watched them all. And I started noticing something very peculiar in like 90% of them. And it was alarming a little bit because I started realizing that at some point in the documentary, the great state of Oregon often appears. Have you seen this? Very strange. Sometimes it's that, like when the cult's just starting out and it's like good times still, right? It's like everyone's getting together, and they're chanting or doing some weird shit, but everyone's happy and they're getting together and they're, making out with each other and partner swapping. It's a good time. It's like a party in the West Hills, right? It's like, it's good. And sometimes, though, Oregon makes its appearance towards the end of the cult. The end of everyone's shaved their heads and they're, running away from the FBI. The cult leader has been convicted of 34 felonies, or maybe he's like offed himself, and the cult people are like carrying his body around like that movie Weekend at Bernie's, but it's like Weekend at Manson's, and they're like holding him up. Where should we go? He says we should go to Oregon. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's because it's possible that we're the only state that has a double-sided flag. Is there a connection there? Probably not, but I can't figure it out. But I'm just really fascinated by it. I always, it's amazing to me how someone can fall into something like that, right? It's very strange. And I met a group that's also like very fascinated by these cults and the cult show. Very cool people. We get together, talk about how cool these shows are and how weird cults are. And I've actually been spending a ton of time with them. Less time with my family and friends. But that happens sometimes, they told me. And the guy who runs the thing, very cool. He really gets it. So I'm going to be spending less time doing comedy, more time doing that. He actually has a place way out in Eastern Oregon somewhere. And you can just stay there for free. Like super generous. So I have a good feeling about it. I'll keep you guys posted. What else? What else about me? Well, I don't like melons. The fruit, bros. The fruit. I don't like melons. The fruit. I don't like cantaloupe, cassava, regular watermelon, Hermiston watermelon, Bradford family watermelon, Mountain Sweet yellow watermelon, snap melon, winter melon, also known as the ash gourd, Bailon, Charente, that's a French one, Charente, Persian melon, Gallia melon, Crenshaw, Autumn Sweet. I don't like melon. You know what I do like? Mayonnaise. Anyone here tonight been exposed to dangerous levels of lead? Anyone, you all should be raising your hands, by the way, especially if you went to a Portland public school. Lead, as we know, is a very toxic substance to the human body. It mimics calcium in the body. It gets into our bones. It also goes into the brain and interrupts the transmission of things like dopamine and gamma aminobutyric acid, obviously. It causes the mitochondria in the cells to swell. It just causes a lot of problems. It damages neurons. It's really crazy. I'm actually jealous of you guys right now because my favorite part of a stand-up comedy act is the science lecture portion. So I've got more. You know, the EPA didn't even start regulating it until 1978. So it's still in the environment a lot. And now they're finding that folks who were exposed to lead before 1980 are now starting to show and display signs of cognitive decline as a result. And I don't think we're talking enough about this, right? So look, I'm not gonna try to make any assumptions, but it looks like there's many folks here who were born before 1980. Have you ever found yourself angrily monologuing about how music was better back when you were young? It wasn't really, but that might be the lead talking, sir. That might be the lead, we don't know. Do you have an aunt, a lonely aunt who's giving money to someone in Moldova that slid into their Facebook Messenger? Could be the lead talking, right? Do you ever find yourself angrily storming the Capitol on January 6th? It could be the lead. It's excreting from our bodies. It's lowering our IQ. We're not talking enough about this. You go to the grocery store and someone's raging about the price of a dozen eggs. He's probably got so much lead in him, he's literally shitting bullets. It can cause you to go nuts and start screaming about shit nobody cares about or wants to hear. It actually causes so much of a problem. It can keep you from laughing from some real genius stand-up jokes in the past like 2-3 minutes. It's crazy. Oh. Anyway, what was I talking about? You know, all that research that I did about lead gave me some anxiety, so I called my doctor, Dr. CSz. I love Dr. CSz. He really gets me. I called one time, I got injured, and I went into his office, and I was like, Dr. CSz, I think I broke my arm in 2 places. And he said, well, you better stop going to those places. And I think he stole that joke from Henny Youngman, but that's why I love him. He can pull it off still to this day. So he said, good news. I have good news. It's time for your annual physical. So I can come in, actually, we can do a blood test and I can check for that lead. And I was like, I don't care about that. But it was time. I wanted to go in. I wanted to go in for my physical, because it's important. You need the okay-ish amount of physical health and low mental health to really make it in comedy. So I was like, I want to make sure I'm at the right levels. So I go in and we're talking, and he's chatting, how am I feeling? And I said, Dr. CSz, I was really hoping that at this point in my life, I would just have a little bit more going on, a little bit more swagger, a little bit more pep in my step, something going on. I mean, look at this shirt I'm wearing. I just wanted just something, I wanted more going on. He didn't really understand. He's like, I don't get what you're saying. You seem okay. So, well, how do I put this? At this phase and age of my life, I really wanted to be someone who a Republican congressman would hit on in a public bathroom. Does that make sense? And he got it immediately. And he said, well, what are you doing, in your personal life to try to achieve this goal? And I thought about it, and I said, nothing really. So he prescribed me some cholesterol medication and sent me on my way. But what I took away from that interaction is, it's really strange, if we think about it, that every day we're all one day closer to our own deaths. Are there any comedians here tonight? Are there any comedians here tonight? Yeah. But half the fucking audience? People often ask me, Chris, why? Why stand up? And I'll tell you, it's because I'm trying to move up in the hierarchy of comedy. And before I explain what the hierarchy of comedy is, I want to also tell you that, early as comedians, we learn punchlines over facts. Carl has said this to us many times. Punchlines over facts. You want to get to the joke. Don't get tied up in the minutia of what happened in the story or what actually happened. You got to get to the joke. But I worry that we are starting to live in a post-truth society because of social media. It's hard to know what's real and what's true. So I propose something I call fact-based, results-oriented comedy. I'm doing the research, I'm sending out surveys, I'm analyzing the data, the results are in, and this is the hierarchy of comedy, according to America. I didn't make this up. This is the data. So you got up at the top. This was new to me. Up at the top, of course, what came in top? Stand-up comedy. I mean, our nation's national heroes of comedy. They get all the streaming, deals, awards, accolades. They, and when they do something terrible, people just look the other way, like, vehicular manslaughter, but I love them on the podcast. It's okay. Stand-up comedy. Then right underneath, very close, this is very close, right underneath, sketch comedy and improv comedy. I personally think that improv should be above stand-up comedy, but this is like, the numbers don't lie. I couldn't fudge the numbers. I don't know why this, it's probably because when it's going well, it's amazing and fantastic. When it doesn't go well, sometimes it can feel like, they're having a good time, but maybe I'm not having such a good time watching it. But it was close. It was right there. I feel like maybe sometimes, I understand that with improv, it's all about yes and. But apparently, the data shows that sometimes it's no, let's not. But I love it. I personally love it. Number 3, this was also a surprise to me, prop comedy. Interesting, prop comedy. I guess, you think about Gallagher smashing the watermelon, and he had a ton of, I hate melon, but he had a ton of people in his shows. Carrot Top is still playing in Vegas. It's really something. It seems like they kind of go nutty at the end, though, honestly. I don't know. There's probably lead in the props. Right, Carl? Gotta investigate that. Then after that is where I've lived most of my life. I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the bit, but where I was, the reason I'm trying to move up is because I was doing comedy music. And that came in down here. It was hard. Thank you. Did someone say aw? My wife. It was either going to be my wife or my stepdad making a comment on that one. It was hard because when I was doing all these funny songs, you go to a music club, and they don't want you up there doing their funny songs. Doesn't fit in with anything. You go to a stand-up club, they look down upon you bringing your instrument up there, and actually a lot of people who've heard my comedy songs have often told me that maybe I should just be doing stand-up anyway. So, it's hard. Then after that, you've got what's left, it was like magicians and mimes or something down here. My apologies to any magicians in the audience. So I'm trying to move up in the hierarchy and really get the respect that I feel like I deserve. And you've all been a part of that tonight. I really think, honeydew. I don't like honeydew. Especially, I don't like honeydew. But anyway, I'm Chris Waffle. You guys have been a great, small but powerful audience.
Chris Waffle, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, keep it up for Chris.
Great show, huh? You've been a great audience, and I want to invite all the comics up on stage. And let me say first, it's really something to put yourself out there, take a course and get on stage and make people laugh. It's especially important when the world is so kind of fucked up right now. We need this laughter and insight more than ever. I want to invite every comic to come on stage. Sarah Spoon, ladies and gentlemen, keep going. Mark Gurman, ladies and gentlemen. T.P. Shane, Rose Allison, and Rose Allison's dad. Come on up on stage, Rose Allison's dad. Mike Schreiber, and Chris Waffle, ladies and gentlemen. All right, take a bow, class, take a bow. And everyone else. Yeah. And listen, you guys have been a wonderful audience, and you proved it's not how many, it's how you enjoy the show, and you guys really did. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank all of you. Oh, you want to say something?
Oh, dear God.
What is your name, first of all?
Tony.
Well, shocking. Call Willamette Week.
Okay, if you haven't heard it, I'm gonna ask first, has anybody here heard the story about the talking dog that was for sale?
No.
May I?
I think you're into it. I think you're halfway down that chihuahua.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this actually happened in Idaho.
There's an extra $5 on the way out for this.
So a guy's driving through Idaho, and he sees this sign outside a farm. It says, "Talking dog for sale." And he thinks, I've got to go ask. So he pulls up to this farmhouse and goes up, knocks on the door, and I answers it. He says, "Is it true you've got a talking dog for sale?" I says, "Yes, I do." He says, "Can I meet it?" "Sure." He says, "The dog's in the living room. Just go on in." The guy goes in, he says, kind of a mutt, German Shepherd, maybe a little bit of collie. Looks like it might have been a little bit of, golden retriever in there. But he said, so you're the talking dog. The dog looks at him, he says, "Yes, I am." He goes, "Wow." He says, "I didn't expect you to speak that clearly." And the dog says, "Well, thank you. Can you tell me a little bit about your story?" He says, "How in the world did you end up talking?" The dog says, "Well, when I was a little puppy, I noticed, I was different than the other pups. I seemed to understand what the people around me were telling me to do, and I responded." He says, and then I noticed that I didn't just bark, I was making other noises, and one day it finally dawned on me I could talk." He says, "Well, then what happened?" He says, "Well," he says, it was really amazing." He said, "I thought about it for a while." He said, "And I made my way to Washington, D.C., and I went into the government." And he says, "You can't believe how much trouble it was getting in to talk to him." He says, "But I finally ended up working for intelligence services." He says, "Nobody thinks a dog's going to understand what they're saying. Nobody thinks a dog will ever repeat something they've heard." He says, "I've worked in the White House, I've worked in embassies in foreign countries." He says, yeah, he says, "So, I've had kind of an interesting life." And the guy says, "Well, what are you doing on this farm out in Idaho?" And the dog says, "Burnout." Says, "It just got to be too much. I went into the boss one time, said, I've had enough, I can't do this anymore." He says, "So I retired out here to Idaho." He says, "I found, a nice bitch to be my wife." He says, "We've raised a few litters of puppies." He says, "And now I'm just taking it easy." The guy goes, "Wow, that's an amazing story." So he goes back out to the owner. He says, "Man," he says, "that dog is absolutely amazing." He says, "He speaks so clearly, and that story is just unbelievable." He says, "I've got to ask, how much do you want for him?" The guy says, $10. He says, that dog speaks amazingly well. Why would you sell him for just $10? Guy says, I am so sick of his life. He's never been off this farm.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rose's dad.
Thank you.
Tony! Tony, thank you.
Carl, I'll send you his Venmo, you can bill him $275.
Yeah, there. I had not heard that before.
That's a good one.
The doctor, a lawyer, and the priest and the cruise ship is sinking. The doctor yells, save the children! The lawyer says, fuck the children. The priest says, do you think we have time? All right, a little bit shorter, but same joke. All right. All right, give it up for Tony, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so sick of his lies. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to go back and look at old athletics games from old Connie Mack Stadium back then. It used to be called Shibe Park back then. And I'll let you know how we do. Thank you again. How about a hand for everybody as we go out? And Tony, thank you for making your debut right here. Have a great weekend. Thanks for coming back.
Sorry.
God damn.
How long was that?
I'm gonna have to go into improv now.
Good job, Tony. Thank you.